Hello, hello, I'm the official narrator. My job is to look through the first page of Google, review the nicknames provided by the internet, and then give my recommendations at the end. Today, Google is rectifying its previous transgression mistake and putting me on there. Today we're looking at Gallade and Iron Valiant. Now, Iron Valiant is technically, if you want to, I don't fucking see it, considered a combination of Gardevoir and Gallade together. IMO, that is only true in type, and that's about it. But also, Shower Thought, Gallade and Gardevoir are like one of the only split evolution Pokemon that actually kind of look identical. Poliwrath and Politoed don't look anything alike. Bellossom and Vileplume don't look anything alike. It's kind of harder to be like, oh yeah, they're the same. I'm like, it's just part of the same family. And it also kind of made me think that we need more split evolution Pokemon, because I don't really feel like we have too many of those. The only other one I can think of off the top of my head is like Scyther with Cleavor and Scizor, and that's it. And those don't look anything alike. Frostlass and Glalie don't look anything alike. Don't know why they chose to do it this way, but we're just going to do Gallade and Iron Valiant. I'm not going to do that plus Gardevoir because it's just two different personalities, and I feel like it resembles more of the fighter style than the, not sure how to describe it, elegant style, I guess, of Gardevoir. If you're interested in the original video, it will be linked down in the description below. I'm going to be honest, this was actually kind of one of the videos in Sinnoh that I regretted. I feel like it was this, Lucario, and Garchomp were the three that I'm just like, I think I did a bad job. So I feel like this is my chance to rectify it, but I'm also insanely surprised that this thing has a 100% like ratio, because I think I did a bad job. So thank you guys for not disliking it for whatever the fuck reason, because there you go. You guys can't see the dislikes, that's why I had to bring that up for you. I really hate, but I really love Blady Gaga. That is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever read, but the kind of stupid that's like The Room stupid, and you're like, yeah, there's something here. Marth is such a weird-ass name that it's only associated with Fire Emblem. I remember when my brother told me he unlocked Marth in Super Smash Bros. Melee for the first time, I said, you mean Mark? And my dad was like, no, he means Marth. And I was like, the fuck kind of name is that? So if you want, Marth stands out, unlike Roy, which is just the name of some stupid asshole. Bunch of awesome nicknames here. Oh god, please let it be what I hope it is. Oh, actually no. I mean, yeah, we'll go ahead and take a look at that, but like, I'm not gonna lie, I was really hoping it was gonna be linked to the Tumblr so I could just make fun of this guy, but he had actual results. You're gonna name Mega Gallade Seto Kaiba. Kaiba was one I mentioned at the end of the original episode. I also just remember being insanely fatigued at the end of the original episode because I'm like, I'm so tired of Lancelot, Galahad, and yeah, I am. Pokemon nicknames have kind of ruined those for me. Yeah, look, Lancelot, Gareth, King Arthur, to me, it's just overdone. Like, that's the Tesla of sword Pokemon. You do what you want. I just have standards. I'm going to reluctantly highlight Sparta. I don't particularly think it's great, but maybe it appeals to you. Excalibur is another one that's ruined for me too. I've seen that one too many fucking times. It's got to the point where even Pokemon itself has incorporated it into an official name for a Pokemon, so they're telling you guys to all shut the fuck up and stop talking about it. I'm half and half on White Knight. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I really don't remember seeing Terminator on here, and I'm feeling haunted and stalked because it's been on Ranker all of Paldea, and seeing it here on an irrelevant Pokemon is strange, and I don't like it. On Guard, I don't hate, actually. I think that's a better way of doing the sword motif, and kind of like, I don't know, I like that. And maybe there's like a little bit of bias because of the Swordfish from Donkey Kong Country 2, which is a fantastic choice of a name. They could have called it Pokey or Swordy or some shit, but no, they went On Guard. That's a fucking great name. I personally have that on my Kingdra because we don't have a Swordfish Pokemon yet. Why the fuck don't we? You just make a fish with a literal sword on it? Done. That's it. Pay me. You could have the evolution line that's like it starts with a little knife, and then it gets bigger, and then it could go to like a jousting knife. There you go. It's not that hard. Anyway, On Guard's a good name. You could put that on whoever you want since we don't have a Swordfish yet. But when we do, I'm using that hoe. You know, I mentioned Gladiator at the end of the original episode, but I'm wondering if I actually saw Gladiator or if I misread this as Gladiator? Gladiator's better. it could work, but I mean it's also not particularly special. Galladiator, it's just very difficult for me to say. This is 300. This was mentioned not that long ago. Chaotic put as a comment suggestion for something, but I don't remember what. And I'm gonna stand by that putting just 300 is probably gonna be a little better. Blade Runner I'm okay with. I know we've seen this in the past before, but I don't remember for who. And I'm okay with it. That could work as a nice sword name that's something fucking different for a change. Why is Drago there? Why did 66 people vote up on Drago, the Gallade? I'll highlight Mayweather. I think rather than doing an MMA fighter or UFC fighter or something like that, maybe, well, my mind's like, what's a competitive sword fighter? And I'm like, I feel like you could argue that's what the Knights of the Round Table is. And I also just feel like sword fighting is not a common competitive sport. I mean, there's fencing. Who knows a fucking fencer? Ugh. Okay, so Creed oddly kind of speaks to me. I think I'm okay with that, but I'm not sure why I'd put that. But I also completely understand if you can't deal with it because Creed itself is kind of a joke of a band. They're like Nickelback or Green Day. Can we point out that this right here is actually a more interesting Pokemon team than majority of competitive Pokemon? A Power Rangers based team is something I fuck with. Alternatively, you could also do that by basing it off of their Zords. Like, what, Season 2 was literally fucking the Chinese Zodiac, Season 1 was the dinosaurs. You could make Power Rangers based teams. I'm just saying. Alright, I'm gonna highlight Link, because it's like, I understand, green, sword, but Link, although very uncommon of a name, does not speak to me in that regard. Now, it might be that, like, placebo effect of, oh, well, it's too obvious, therefore it's probably overused, but it's not overused. It's just, sometimes the first thought you have isn't always the best. Alright, so we've reached the bottom. There's two in particular that really stood out to me that I like the best, so I have something to talk about. I also would like to point out, despite people still calling me and saying that I am very negative, I feel like I've been much more positive with this than I did in the original video. I don't remember what I said in the original video, but I still remember it leaving a bad taste in my mouth. Let's look at the comments for the original video and see what you guys came up with. Chugga Conroy's was named Scythe. I don't remember Chugga Conroy even using a Gallade, but I did see Scythe on Pokemon.net. They were both back-to-back on the very top, posted in 2016. I don't know who came up with it first, but to me that was just like kind of lazy, and I was like, yeah, that doesn't speak to me at all. So if that's what Chugga used, sorry bro, step your game up. I'll go ahead and I guess re-highlight the duelist thing, because like we mentioned Kaiba, I think, and Kaiba's one that I feel like you could use for a lot of dragon Pokemon, and it would make sense because that was Kaiba's motif. But like Dual Disc or Duelist, like that makes sense too, something along those lines. Okay, I'm not going to try and pronounce this, but I am going to highlight and call Chaotic out. He said right here, will do! You want to see Chaotic's comment suggestion? It doesn't include it, brother. What happened? Did you... Wait, shit. Ah, fuck! Alright, never mind. The Princess? That is hilariously stupid. By the way, this is the only comment suggestion was Chaotic. Well, there goes my original name. Hey, it was on the Google. It's there. It's fine. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at Iron Valiant and a reminder that I was called out. I made a fool of myself. I could edit that out. If I remember right, I'm a guess before I Google this. This is My Life as a Teenage Robot? It is. There we go. That's right. I never watched that show, but I know I've seen that suggested before, and I'm here for that one. Terminated will highlight. This one kind of shows up every now and again. I want to say I decided it for Porygon, but it's still not one I'm passionate about. I just realized I could do two different versions of Terminator for Porygon Z and 2. I don't think Android 18 is that blonde girl. It is the blonde girl. Why do I always think about 17? 17 is just the one that like stands out. You know why 17 stands out to me? Because I got a fucking Gardevoir Wonder traded to me called Android 17, and that's why. And I'd recognize that blonde girl, but never anything else. Do I think that even has a fucking thing to do with Iron Valiant? No, as a matter of fact, I don't. I feel like this is just haunting me. Maybe this person who named it Android 18 was the one who Wonder traded me the Gardevoir named 17. Alright, so the theme with most Paradox Pokemon, which is actually kind of surprising we didn't see anything like this for Salamence, is them trying to create official names, and Mechalade I'm okay with, but I also have noticed most people just try and fuse Gardevoir and Gallade's names together a lot, which I've already been seeing a bunch of, but I just haven't highlighted. But just know that that is a thematic for Iron Valiant. Zero after the Mega Man character. I think I recognize that, but Zero is a very common name that shows up kind of everywhere and has varying meanings depending on who you are. I don't know if Nebula is meant to be in reference to Guardians of the Galaxy or if they just pick something random, because Nebula in Guardians is like, you know, mostly machine, and like Iron Valiant is a machine, and they both do the fight, but I think that's about where it ends. Nebula is also just a space term, so like, I don't know. Yeah, Gallade Vor, that's the thing I see a bunch of. I just want to highlight that I actually really like the name Iron Gauntlet. I just think that sounds great. I think that could have been a real official name. Maybe not for Iron Valiant, but we could have seen that, and that could have been fine. That could have been like, you know, a better one for Hariyama, I guess. This is an interesting idea. 282 is probably in reference for Gardevoir's Pokedex number, because it's definitely not Valiant's. This one's just worth highlighting because you could use that as a callback for any of the Iron Pokemon. You could call it like, I don't know, H500, whatever the fuck it's. I think Hydreigon is 600. But like that could work, and you could use that as a thematic if you like that. Again, we're focusing on Gardevoir, not Gallade, but what do I know? I like how even right here for this one, dude is like, you know, trying to be like a smartass, but when he gets to Iron Valiant, he's like, fuck. And then just puts them together anyway. It took me a second to realize that LF meant looking for. Well, guess what? There's a cancerous site for you where you can just buy one if you so choose. Anyway, that's it. We've reached the bottom. We've looked at everything for Iron Valiant, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of just skipped over a lot of those official Paradox names that people were choosing, because it was just different variants of Gallade plus Gardevoir fused together. The one I think was the most clever was Gardevoir, but spelled Guard, Guard, some combination like that, but it was on a GameFAQs. You can take a look and always fact check everything I do. That's the beauty of this channel. We already looked at the comment suggestions, so I'm just going to highlight the two that I liked the best are going to be On Guard and then Blade Runner. I had to think for a minute. I didn't check my notes. Yeah, those are the two that stood out the most to me because they're just different sword-based nicknames, so there you go. We have other sword-based Pokemon you could take a look at. First off, there's the original Gallade episode if it fancies you. I already closed the tab, so I can't re-highlight it. There's the original Gardevoir episode, that's still there. We also have Aegislash, the Musketeers, some people have said Kartana. So there's plenty of other sword-based Pokemon you can take inspiration from if this episode did not help you. I don't personally have a nickname, but I mean, I'm going to say things are a lot better. And honestly, I'm going to say that I like Iron Valiant better than I like Gallade. I think Iron Valiant looks better, and I like its typing better. To me, Gallade just never stood out, and I was just like, eh. Like, a lot of the popular Pokemon from Sinnoh just didn't resonate with me. I'm not a fan of Garchomp, I'm not a fan of Gallade, I'm not a fan of Lucario. I'm not saying they're bad Pokemon, I'm just saying those aren't even in my top 10. Anyway, any ideas and suggestions you have, feel free to put in the comments below. Give a thumbs up to the ones you think are good. If you feel that your name is Gardevoir adjacent, maybe probably skip out on it unless you can find a way to fuse it with Gallade. In other words, this is going to be focusing on Gallade nicknames, and Iron Valiant I feel like is similar enough to Gallade to where you could mesh the two together and pick one up and use it for the other if you so choose. I suddenly just had a 10-pound cat leap into my lap. He's probably actually 12 pounds, but that startled me. We have 2 Pokemon left.